have a question for you today. Are we worshiping the hard? As in, are we making hard the goal? I call this goal swap. I think we do this in two ways: goal swap or great story syndrome. And I think that we as Christians sometimes fall into this and really don't realize it. But what do I mean by worshiping the hard? Well, two ways this is cropping up. Number one, goal swap. Are we making having done hard things the goal instead of focusing on our ultimate goal and just be willing to do anything, even if it happens to be hard? That's one way I see it, is goal swapping. The second way I see it is this: the great story syndrome. This is when we want to do something, and yet we see somebody else doing it and they have a great story. They have a great testimony. They have a great dramatic conversion. Think about Paul. This cropped up in my life. This crops up a lot in my life. I'm like, I don't have a rags to riches story. I don't have a huge, horrible backstory to great story. In fact, I'm writing a book right now, and it's one of the reasons I talked to my coach about this. I said, I don't have a huge tragedy story like somebody else who has written on this topic does. And she goes, well, what if that's the whole reason why God wants you to write the book? Because you're going to have a different take on it, or because you're going to have a different way of stating it, and you're going to point out different things than somebody who has gone through a more tragic part of it. So, are we looking at people who have overcome great hardships and then we're just kind of putting them on a pedestal and then thinking that we can't have that same ministry? We can't have their same results. We can't do what they've done because we don't have a great story. We can't do great things. So today, I am going to talk about number one, what happens when we focus on the hard? Two, what is hard, why it's hard, why we actually do need hard. And then three, how we can do hard things the easier way. How we can do hard things the easier way. So, what happens when we focus on the hard? Well, number one, we look for the hard. Okay. We look for the things that are going to be difficult. Sometimes we just literally scare ourselves out of even starting it. I think about this with about having kids. People have been having children for multiple generations, multiple millennia. And yet, if you go to register for a baby shower because you're going to have a kid, that you have to have so many things. You need to have maybe pumps for nursing and all these special. I couldn't tell you what they are because I'm a little bit old school in this. I mean, they had all these things when I was having babies, but I was the oldest of nine. And so I was just kind of copying my mom, who was the generation before. And she's like, babies kind of come and they don't need a whole lot. I mean, they need diapers. They need blankets to keep them warm. So when we're looking for the hard, we only see the hard. We discourage ourselves sometimes before we even start, or we discourage other people. Oh, that's going to be so hard. And we don't see the positive side. We don't talk about the positive side, the joyful side. You know, life is 50-50. There's pros and cons. There's hard and easy. But when we expect it to be hard, we only look for the hard and then we're closing our eyes off to easy. Number two, when we're focusing on the hard, we compare our hard to other people's hard. And then this gets really bad when we either feel guilty because we don't have it as hard, or we feel prideful because look at us and how hard we had it. Guilt and pride, they are two emotions that will trip us up every time. So, ironically, a lot of my thoughts for this episode came out of Matthew 11. And Matthew 11, I love the last few verses. And it says, Matthew 11, 28 through 30, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. That is how Jesus is kind of summing up this passage. But how this passage starts is so fascinating because it's talking about John the Baptist, and John the Baptist is stuck in prison. He's in a hard spot. And he sends his disciples to ask Jesus, "Hey, am I in prison for a reason? Are you really who I said you were?" And the backstory is this: John and Jesus are kind of cousins. I don't know how closely related they are, but they're related in some way. And John the Baptist, you could not see two more different people. John the Baptist was known for living out in the wilderness, for only eating locusts and honey. Wow. For being kind of a wild man. And then Jesus comes along. And so that's what Jesus is talking about. He's saying to the Pharisees, "Hey, so you guys criticize John for being too crazy, for being too wild, for not being civilized." And he goes, "And then I'm the exact opposite. And you're saying, oh, he's too indulgent. He's not. Too, he's too much. He's too much." And he's pointing out this is the problem with comparison. And so hang on to that, because hard is hard because we're comparing ourselves to others. And then we make the third thing, and I've already alluded to this one. What happens when we focus on the hard is that we inadvertently make hard the goal instead of focusing on the goal and then just taking the hard as it comes. As in, hey, I so want this goal that I'm willing to do it even if it gets hard. I'm willing to do the hard things that it might take to get to this goal. So this came up. My husband's in this really cool, ambitious challenge group with other men who challenge each other to do these month-long, like a lot of times fitness or faith-based challenges or all different kinds. So they're kind of motivating each other, and there's kind of some competition and rivalry. And if I understand the story right, so give me some grace. He he was in a five-way tie to get this championship belt. I mean, this belt is huge. It's massive. How do I know? Because he won another belt just like it. And I'm like, where are we going to keep on storing these belts that look like they should be WWE wrestlers? So he's in a five-way tie. And the way that the leader of this community said, "We're going to break the five-way tie is we're going to see how far you guys are willing to go." He said, "Who's willing to shave their head?" I am so thankful at that moment. My husband did not focus on the hard, but he focused on his goal. His goal was to do the best he can to finish the challenge that he had originally planned for, the fitness challenge. His goal was not to win the belt at any cost by shaving his head. So don't make hard the goal. Remember what your goal is, and then do whatever hard it takes. Okay. So, and then let me talk about now what hard really kind of is, like what makes it hard, why it's hard, why we need hard. Because hard comes in all shapes and sizes for us. For example, 2023, last year, that was hard for me mentally and emotionally, but not physically, not financially. My health was good. All the bills are paid for, nothing like that. But the change that we were going through as we were moving and some of the different changes, life changes that my kids were going through and being unsettled, that was hard on me mentally and emotionally. It really slowed me down. And that's okay, because because I didn't focus on the hard, I knew there was some benefits, some blessing that's going to come on the backside of that. Oh, y'all, every single time. It just makes me a little bit stronger. And then it makes me a little bit more capable as a person. I'm going to say that in just a second. But also, hard, a lot of times, newness is hard at first until we get used to it. So that was kind of my experience moving from Missouri to Florida. There's a lot of newness going on, but new is hard at first until we get used to it. Different is hard at first until we get used to it. So just because it starts hard doesn't mean that it stays hard. So hard is also personal, as in what we call hard is the hardest thing that we've done up to this point. But then once we've done it, it kind of resets our thermostat for hard. What do I mean by resetting our thermostat for hard? Well, listen, what I define as hard is always in context of the fact that I grew up, you guys are going to laugh at this example. I grew up as a farmer's daughter in the Midwest back in the day without air conditioning and putting up hay in the summer, square bales. So 14, 15, 16 years old, lifting hay bales off the ground. They weighed, I don't know, 30, 40 pounds and heaving them up into a truck so my brother can stack them. Okay, it was scratchy work, it was itchy work, it was heavy work, it was super hot work. That is hard. Putting up hay in the summer, that is hard. Looking back, I'm so thankful that I had that experience because that kind of tempers what I call hard. Like you even hear me, I'm like, having children. Well, it wasn't that hard. I had C-sections. Raising children. It's hard because it was hard on me emotionally, in different little parts. So our thermostats for hard are all over the place. And one of the things that we can do is remember this. Life is as hard as it needs to be to teach us that the lessons we need to know to make life better. I want to repeat that again. Life is as hard as it needs to be in order to teach us the lessons we need to know in order so that we can make life better. And on the flip side of that, life does get hard if we're not willing to do hard things. One of the things that I think about is when chores pile up. Doing a load of laundry a day for me, or washing a load of dishes a day for me, so much easier than letting it pile up to 10 or 12 or working around the mess, the dishes on the sink, and then trying to play catch up. It's way easier for me to maintain than it is for me to catch up, get exhausted, all that. Okay, it took me a long time. I mean, it took me a few years to literally learn that lesson. But because I kept on thinking, oh, it's just so hard. It's so hard to do the dishes. It's so hard to keep up with the laundry. But it only got harder when I didn't keep up. So life does get harder if we're not willing to do hard things. For example, life gets harder financially if we're not willing to budget and look at our finances in an honest way. Life gets harder in our relationships if we're not willing to have difficult conversations to get us to a better place. So, if we're not willing to do the hard things, we're going to unintentionally make our life harder. That's why I say life is not meant to be hard, it's meant to be lived. But if we think that hard makes it meaningful, we will unintentionally make everything a little harder than it needs to be. So, and here's one other thing. Remember this, that two ways we make it harder than it needs to be is that pride piece, as in, I can do it by myself. I should ask for help. I don't need help. I did this a lot. I still have strong tendencies towards this because I have such a strong DIY nature. I can do this by myself. If I can do it by myself, I should do it by myself. I'm getting ready to hire somebody to redesign my website and handle some tech for me because it's a mess. And I keep on thinking I should be able to do this by myself. I could do this by myself. And it's like, I'm just making it harder than it actually needs to be. Pride sometimes makes it harder than it needs to be. And in my case, maybe it's not even so much pride as it just feels hard to go through the process of hiring somebody. So you have to break it down. What else makes it harder mentally or emotionally than it needs to be is the guilt. I should be doing this like another person is doing this. Somebody else can do it, does it this way, and I should copy them. And that's why I pointed out earlier the example that Jesus gave us of him and John the Baptist. Two men, two people sent by God, given very specific callings, doing at the exact same time in history, two different ways, two very different ways. Like even their personalities, the way they showed up, the way they dressed, the way they ate, the way they talked, 100% different. Night and day difference from each other. All right. Now let's get to, you guys ready to hear how do we make the hard easier? Well, number one, be willing to do the hard until it becomes easier. Okay, don't intentionally make it hard, but be willing to do the hard until it gets easier. Like I said, new is hard until you get used to it. Different is hard until you get used to it. And then be uniquely you. Bring your gifts, your talents, your unique personality to your goals. And thirdly, be willing to rest. Listen to that verse again. Jesus is saying to us, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." If we will do the things that we were purposed to do, if we will pay attention to our purpose, do it with our personality, and then pay attention to our needs for rest, the yoke can be easy. The burden can be light. It does not have to be hard. So, in conclusion, this is why I always say it's important to have clarity and confidence as a Christian. Otherwise, we are going through life the hard way. We're trying to do too many things instead of focusing on pursuing our purpose and living out our calling with confidence. So, if life is feeling hard for you, ask yourself if you are trying to copy others instead of being uniquely you. Or ask yourself, am I avoiding something that feels too hard and kind of making it hard on the backside? Or am I making something harder because I'm trying to do it the way somebody else would do it instead of doing it the way that I was created to be? And also, let me say this. If you'd like help with that, you can book a clarity call with me and we will talk about getting clarity around you and your uniqueness in your life. So I'll make sure that I drop a link to the show note. A link in the show notes. So if you're listening to this as a podcast or you're listening to it on YouTube or the Facebook Live, look for that link if you'd like it. But remember this as you go through your week. Life is not meant to be hard. It's meant to be lived. Be willing to do it your unique way. Use your gifts and your talents to shine a brighter light. And then also be willing to take the rest you need. Okay? All right. I hope this has helped. I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.